Good day everyone, this is Lesson 2, A Legacy of Heroes Story of Bataan and Corregidor. When World War II was just starting, back then, Philippines was a colony of the United States of America. On July 1941, Japan took over southern French in China. This marked the end of a period called peacetime. The US responded sharply by freezing Japanese assets and ongoing oil to Japan. General MacArthur was placed in command of the USAF, United States Army Forces in the Far East. Reserved officers and men were called on duty and last-minute training commended. On December 8, 1941 Philippines, the Japanese Army launched a surprise attack on the big US naval base at Pearl Harbor. Within 6 hours, the Japanese bombed Baguio and Davao without warning.
To the Philippines.
It was the para ba yung fad at that time to be seen, to be counted, to be counted.
On December 8, 1941, Philippine time, Japan launched a surprise attack on the big U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor. Within 6 hours, Japanese bombs hit Baguio and Davao without warning. The U.S. and the Philippines have been dragged into the World War.
Immediately after the mass, nag-issue ng steel helmet, nag-issue ng yung talagang sagiran talaga. The cadet corps cheered because to us, we thought no more academics, no more school.
The cadet officers of the cadet corps were assigned to the 1st Regular Division, and most of us were assigned as commanding officers of frontline infantry companies.
Thousands of volunteers from all walks of life, many without any military training, rushed to enlist to defend.
Thousands of volunteers, many without any military training, rushed to enlist to defend the country. Those who are already in uniform built defensive positions on selective beaches where the Japanese might land. There, MacArthur planned to stop the enemy. 2 days after the first wave of attack, the Japanese planes destroyed the US Navy base in Cavite. Filipino and American pilots flying outmodeled aircraft heroically tried to challenge the swift Japanese Air Force. On December 22, 1941, the battle tested in arms with more efficient weapons. The Japanese landed in Apari, Vigan, and Legazpi to seize airfields before arriving in Lungayen Gulf. Few of these landings were seriously challenged because MacArthur initially thought that they were purely diversionary. After the Japanese had established beaches and began pushing inland, General MacArthur was forced to implement War Plan Orange, an old defensive plan he had previously discovered. This called for the withdrawal of all USAF troops in Luzon to the Bataan Peninsula. There, together with the heavily fortified islands of Corregidor, they could deny any enemy the use of Manila and its strategic harbor. USAF troops were simply expected to hold out until the reinforcement arrived. To prevent further civilian casualties and damage to property, Manila was declared an open city and cleared of military personnel. President Manuel L. Quezon and his family together with the selective members of his cabinet were evacuated to Corregidor. On New Year's Day of 1942, all the USAF forces in Luzon will be entering Bataan, confident that it will only be a matter of time before reinforcement will come. On January 2, 1942, the Japanese occupied Manila. General Masaharu Homa, commander of the 14th Army, had been given 50 days to conquer the Philippines. But as long as USAF forces continued to hold Bataan and Corregidor, he could not accomplish his mission. To buy time for an active defense on Bataan, the USAF forces set up the laying lines of the main road leading to Peninsula. The units managing these lands were tasked to stall the Japanese advance. Sergeant Jose Caluga, stationed at Layak Junction, a sergeant of the Philippine Scouts, sprang into action after one of his unit's gun got hit by a Japanese tank. He ran forward under enemy fire and mobilized two dazed Philippine soldiers, their tenants fighting back with the cannon. The first main line. Defense in Bataan was stretched from Mauban to Abukay. The western was defended by the 1st Corps, while the eastern section was guarded by the 2nd Corps. Among the 80,000-strong Filipino-American forces were 60,000 battle-hardened Japanese troops. Although outnumbered, the Japanese held the upper hand because of superior arms and logistics and control over air and sea. The Japanese launched the main attack on the east side of the Abukay Line, but despite the repeated attempts, they failed to break the 41st Division commanded by General Lim. General Vicente Lim, commander of the 41st Division of Abukay Line and the first Filipino graduate of West Point. Meanwhile, inside Manila Bay, a few boats of the Philippines patrolled.